He was a unique editor and a unique person, and he viewed the world like the young reporter he started as, and he had this great delight in what he did, and he understood both newspapering and the people that were covered.
This was more than 4 decades ago. We were very young. He was very experienced, and if you try to get to the core of how he edited, he raised the standards. He was always asking us, not what the White House spokesman said, but how about people on the scene like the treasurer for the Nixon campaign, the bookkeeper, people in the FBI who were investigating this, and there was a sense of an interrogation where it was an interrogation.
Yeah, and we were interrogated a lot.
By him, and there was no waterboarding, but it was,
close.
What did people say? What did they mean? Did they witness this? Are they reliable? Do they have an axe to grind? And so, you know, he was our ultimate teacher.
Did you remember did you recognize at the time, or do you see it more clearly today, just how brave it was of him? You two were certainly very brave, but you were young and ambitious, and reporters on the trail are often driven by that. But for him to take on an institution like the presidency at that time in our history, where people just didn't do that, at the time, did you understand just how much faith he was putting in your reporting?
We understood how much faith, but what we didn't understand was how much he understood what was on the line and how dangerous it was for him and his institution. And Bob and I were reading over an interview we did with him in June of 1973, still in the middle of Watergate, and we did it for All the President's Men, our book. And he says in there, remarkably, he was afraid that the whole ship could go down. And he was like a great general. The military cliche analogy holds here. He was so calm under fire that we were able to do our jobs. And it was not just support, it was a kind of leading the troops in a way that you knew you could get to the other side of the battlefield because he was leading you.
So, Bob, why did he have the guts to let you guys run with that story when there was so much on the line?
Part of it was just instinct, and I think trust. He knew we were working at night, going and seeing the people who knew the details of this. And as he said later on, we were the ones assigned to work on the story, and we were coming up with stories. He was, an editor of a newspaper or producer here at CNN is in the production business. Let's execute. Bring us the stories. We were, neither of us was married at the time, and we've often talked about how he gave us running room, but it was within the rules of journalism, and he would never let us slide one by. He'd say, hey, wait a minute, let's work on this story.
You don't
more.
have it yet.
Ben said at the time, one of the checks on the confidence he had in the story, or the ambition of the story, was, where's everybody else? Why are we the only ones doing that? You know,
sure.
Over the years, when I would be lucky enough to be around him, he wondered about that today, didn't he, fellas? About where are people chasing after liars and cheats when he believes there's more of them today than back in the day when he was, at the helm?
Well, the first part of your question there is really interesting, because also in that same interview that we did with him, he talks, he talks about how we were out there alone, the Washington Post, and he uses the expression joyous day when the other newspapers and other news organizations finally got onto the Watergate story and reduced the risk to the institution of the Washington Post.
And it was particularly Seymour Hersh of the New York Times who jumped on this story. The most aggressive, skilled reporter in the business in many ways. And Hersh would come up with stories, and there was a deep sense of relief. And it wasn't just support, but again, Hersh would have the detail.